Welcome back to the video blog late in the day here in Fort Lauderdale on Ice. My name is Adam Daniel Mezei, of course, your PMD, producer of marketing and distribution, pmdforhire.com. Just going over some recent emails and kind of marveling at the gibberish and the confusing messages that I get from people for a variety of different concerns. Let's start off by saying the obvious one, which is people inquiring about services, inquiring about the possibility of you coming on and helping them with their independent film. The only problem is they don't make contacting them easy, and they don't make the whole aspect of being in communication easy. Now let me explain what I mean. My personal theory, and there are some that would of course disagree, my personal theory is the simpler you make it for the people that you're trying to communicate with, the better it is. One email address, one phone number. You can have multiple phone numbers. You can have multiple emails. But advertise one. Keep it simple, really. Now, with the advent of the webs and everything that goes on online, time zones are really, even though they still exist, very much so, they're still not really a barrier to entry on the web. So a lot of people are doing business across time zones. Generally what happens is you've got to find a good time in which to coordinate. It's not so hard if you're in New York and somebody else is in LA. That's easy to arrange. But if you're, for example, in New Zealand, or if you're in Australia and you're trying to communicate with somebody in LA, or if you're in Prague and you're trying to communicate with somebody, let's say, in Vancouver, it's not exactly easy to coordinate timings, because if somebody wants to have a morning meeting, in other words, somebody in LA wants to have a morning meeting with somebody in Europe, the person in LA is going to be fresh and ready to go. The person in Europe is going to be beat tired, and if they've had a full day at work, they're going to have to put their game face on for what ostensibly is becoming an advantageous conversation for the Angelino, as opposed to the person, in this example, in Prague or in London or whatever the case may be. It's an interesting series of dynamics, but I find that people are complicating things by, I don't know, like giving you these obscure, ridiculous time concerns. I mean, if you're in LA, you have to basically realize that you're the last one in the line. You have to really be awake at obscene hours of the night in order to accommodate people that are basically not in your time zone. It's funny, where the mecca, the hub, the very place, the lifeblood, the thumping, pulsing, beating heart where filmmaking takes place, where the magic of Hollywood comes alive, it's that very place which the founders of that particular region didn't realize whatsoever that they would be probably in the most time zone challenged area of the world. You know what I mean? If you're, let's say, your stakeholder, whoever else you're trying to garner the attentions of, is living, I don't know, in London. Let's see, London would be 5 plus 3 is 8, and that person wants to have a morning meeting. You've got to be awake, I don't know, at midnight? 1 in the morning, perhaps? LA time, in order to serve the needs of that particular stakeholder. That's basically what life in LA means. But when people on the West Coast start throwing all these obligations to people that are on the right side of the map, that are, let's say, in the Eastern time zone or across the pond in Europe, that doesn't make any sense. You're not making things easier. You're complicating things. And you're looking very unprofessional, because you're giving all these different conditions and preconditions and qualifications. Accept it. You're in LA, you have to make the accommodation. You're in Los Angeles, you're trying to deal with New Zealand or Australia, you're basically screwed. I mean, that's just basically how it works. And you just either have to communicate exclusively by email or Skype at obscene hours. It's as simple as that. The point I want to make is, make communications simple. Make it easy to communicate with people. Don't give people a slew of numbers or emails and start giving preconditions to when you can be contacted. It's not their job to make it easy for you. It's their job to contact you. They email you. Don't start telling people they can't communicate you at this hour and that hour. You're just complicating things. And you know why? Because there's people out there that are not going to give them those kind of restrictions, and then you're going to be basically SOL, because those people will just, it's like osmosis. You want to go from an area of high concentration to low concentration, or in this case, from high pressure to low pressure. They're going to end up dealing with the people that give them less stress and less pressure. It's as simple as that, really, honestly. That's really what it boils down to. So for all those people who have been emailing me and canceling out at the last minute, that's another good one I noticed recently. I'm there waiting for the meeting, and then I'm like, okay, I just allocated the time, so you're not going to be able to deal with me again. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. And, for people that are basically just like promising the moon and the stars and not delivering, it's all part and parcel of this whole contact me situation, okay? Keep it simple. Really, really, that's the rule. Thanks again for watching. It's getting really dark here at the magic hour in Fort Lauderdale-on-Ice, otherwise known as Toronto, or as we say in the proper three-syllabic format, Toronto. Say it like me. Wishing you the very best of things.